good evening, everyone. So, hope in life now. At first, let us have some moment to come people. And in this meantime, we'd like to share a stream, and I would like to request all of you to do the same. Okay, so apparently 10 people have already joined, and we would like to request all of you to join our session and share the stream. So, welcome everyone to the fourth episode of YT Talks. I am your host, Sueda Sadia Zaman, and as you all know that we all are trapped in this lockdown. So we have come with an idea to give you a little bit entertainment as well as to give you some life lessons from different personalities. So in this episode, we are going to talk on the mental health issues. So without further delay, we'd like to introduce our today's guest.
Hello, so let me call out our guest.
Yeah, sure.
So welcome Dr. Ravichandra S. Karkosar to our show. So at
Thank you so
first
much.
let me give a brief introduction about you and also about myself. Hello everyone, I am Ankon Das Joy, our treasurer of Youth Talents, and today with us in our fourth episode we have Dr. Ravichandra S. Karkosar. He is a consultant psychiatrist at Yanapaya Specialty Hospital, Karnataka, India, and also serves in Hopes for Better Life. He is the associate professor at Yanapaya University, India. He works with an NGO, Akanksha Charitable Trust, and addressed thousands of children and adolescents on mental health issues all over the world. He has almost 20 research works on depression and anxiety, stigma, and problematic internet issues, and most of his work have been published in both national and international journals. He completed his MBBS from Mysore Medical College and Research Institute and had his MD from Central Institute of Psychiatry, Ranchi. He is currently working on mental health advocacy in this COVID-19 period all over the world. He is passionate about mental health problems, photography, and creative writing, and he is open to anyone for consultation worldwide through his Facebook page, Mind and You. Sir, is there anything like
Yeah.
that? We would like to
Thank
hear
you.
from you now.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ankan, for that gracious introduction. First of all, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Youth Talents page, which is a organization led by a bunch of wonderful young people who have taken up this cause to work, to promote basically good ideas among youth and to promote positive attitude during this crisis that we are all facing. So I suppose there are viewers from Bangladesh and India mostly. So my namaskar to everyone. So I think we can go ahead with the interview, Ankan.
Yes, sir. So greetings from Bangladesh too, sir.
Yeah.
So we have a few audiences with us and hope that everyone will be joining soon and don't miss
Thank
such an
you.
interesting session. Everyone will have a great time, I think, so with us. Sir, how is your day going, sir? How are you passing your time?
Actually, it's basically work in the hospital. I don't have frontline duty during this COVID-19 crisis. As I'm a psychiatrist, my services are usually limited to our regular OP consultations and treatment of patients who present with mental health issues and psychiatric problems. So it's mostly going okay for me, but some of my colleagues and doctors world over are really having a tough time fighting the battle against COVID-19. So I think I would like to send a big cheer to all the doctors and healthcare workers and all the sanitation workers and all the support staff in the hospitals who have been doing a amazing job, in the face of such a enormous, battle that we have, we still have ahead. I think India, Bangladesh, we are still, just getting to know the crisis, and hopefully we have much to do in the coming days. So, yeah, I would like to thank all of the healthcare workers, basically.
Yes, sir, you help workers are doing a great job out there and helping all of us in this tough time. And by the way, our normal students who are generally studying now and who are in the way of career building are suffering
Right?
a little bit. But as the online classes have been started,
Yes.
we all are aware that online classes have been started all over the world and it is going on. But the thing is that online classes is become really boring to us and monotonous. Many of us are not at the beginning. Many of us were enthusiastic and finding it interesting, but as the time is going on, we are getting more bored with this stuff as sitting on in front of our laptop, or computer, or mobile phone screen for a long time. It's really a big deal, you know. So, what do you think about this shifting of education from traditional to online basis? Is
Yes.
it really something good things for us, or uh, affecting us in another way?
Yeah, I think basically what this COVID-19 crisis, the pandemic and the lockdown has led to is disruption in the education as we knew all this time. Okay. So we have been forced to move from the traditional classroom, the classroom that all of us know, where, we have all our peers and we have a wonderful teacher. There is so much of human connection between the student and the teacher. In India we talk about the guru shishya model, right? So learning is, so much happens. Learning is not just a transfer of information from the teacher to the student. We observe our teacher, we observe our peers. So there is so much learning that happens by imitation, by observing good stuff in people around us. So I think when you bring it to the online platform, probably it is just a 2D image of the face of the teacher. If you are lucky, probably you will see your teacher presenting with all his body language. But I think for most of us, it's just the face of the teacher you get to look at. It takes away all the wonderful things that we get to learn in a traditional classroom. What we have to keep in mind is, see, when we talk about learning, it is not just cognitive learning. What is cognitive learning? Basically, it is just transfer of some information, basically how you think about a certain concept, or how you rationalize about a certain concept. But when you go to a school or college, it's not only cognitive learning. There is a lot of social learning, there is a lot of emotional learning, right, that happens. So which is precious, and you cannot definitely get it by sitting in a webinar, or through a Zoom meet, right? So, and another thing is, traditional schools give you peers and friends, real friends, because all of us are, sometimes we have to do away with virtual friends because of this pandemic. But having a real friend, knowing someone from a very young age, it's just such a support system that you have, right, with all your friends being around you. I think the online platform lacks, this very much, I feel, because there are no real friends around you. There is no real support system. The teacher who gives you life lessons, the teacher who inspires you, the teacher who identifies innate talents in you, stuff that already that are there in you. Somebody has to invoke those hidden talents in you, or kindle inspiration in you. So that can happen only through a guru or a teacher who is there in front of you, right? And nothing like the human interaction, right? So I think these are some of the things, these are some of the problems that exist in online learning, I feel. But there are positives too. I think we cannot neglect the positives. Definitely during this crisis where we are really afraid to go and go to the classrooms or go to the colleges, because we very well know that having a big gathering or having a crowd is a big risk factor for transmission of coronavirus disease. So to cut the transmission of the virus, we have to take some drastic steps. So I think going on the online platform gives you this flexibility, where you can be at the safety of your home and still get to learn something. And another big advantage with online platforms, I feel, is learning can happen anywhere, no matter where you are in the corner, any corner of the world. If you have a solid internet connection, I think then definitely you can connect with a lot of wonderful people. Something which is happening right now, probably. I am sitting in India talking with all of you guys in Bangladesh. So I couldn't have imagined this happening in a traditional classroom. So definitely there are positives, such as ubiquitous learning can happen anywhere. And yes, online platforms especially, there are so many online learning platforms, such as to name a few, Coursera, or there is something known as the MIT Open Courseware. In India, there is a platform called as Swayam, okay, which is mostly done by the IITs here in India. So there are so many wonderful learning platforms which are online, and they give you this advantage of giving you multimodal learning. That is, they have videos which you can look at. They have audio clips or podcasts. There can be images that which you can look at and learn, or there can be text which you can read and learn. And basically it caters to all your senses, right? So sometimes in the traditional classroom, if the teacher is not very willing to bring in all these different modalities of learning, it becomes a very didactic lecture where a person goes on giving you a lecture, right? Whereas in online platform, you have the opportunity to access into so many modes of learning. So that is another advantage, I feel, of having online learning. But I think, Ankan, at the end of everything, we have to adapt to the new system. At least till the pandemic, we are able to adapt to the pandemic, somehow fight this pandemic. I think we will have to be resilient, and we have to make changes in the way we learn, right? So I think that's where online platforms are useful.
So you told that about the social isolation we are getting, that we were not in emotional touch or physical touch with our fellow mates. And as far as I know, that it is also affecting us in both mental and physical ways, as due to lack of social isolation, means lack of the physical touch and mental togetherness. We don't actually release most of the hormones, many of the hormones inside our body. So social isolation is a big factor. And we can also see that due to the social isolation, people are getting engaged much more on this. Out of the online education, they're also getting much more involved on social media. And actually, rather than utilizing their time, they're actually wasting their time. So what will you say about it?
Yeah, I think, yes, the virus has made us to stay at our home mostly. In many countries, I think, including India and Bangladesh, there have been severe restrictions on the movement of people. So, we have to be at our homes, and we cannot go and meet our friends, go and meet our colleagues, go and meet our family members. We human beings are basically herd animals, right? Social connectedness is something which we innately desire. uh, being in relationship with another person is basically what makes us human, right? A human being in a isolated situation is definitely not a not a full human being, I feel, because you somehow feel incomplete, right? Only when you interact with another human being or another person, that's when you really feel what it means to be a human, right? So I think, as you rightly said, being isolated, being staying at home all by yourself definitely can lead to lot of difficult emotions in a person's being. Basically, many of us start feeling sad, right? When we are unable to look when we are unable to connect with people face to face and in person, we many of us may start feeling sad, right? So I think another big problem that happens when we are unable to go and meet our friends or go and meet our colleagues is, when we meet our friends and colleagues, basically, especially young people and children, they learn a lot of social skills, right? So what kind of social skills do we learn? Basically, we learn listening, how to listen to another person. We learn effective communication, how to put across what is there in our mind. Okay, so we also learn conflict resolution. If by chance our opinions differ, or we don't agree on something, we find ways by which we can resolve that conflict amicably, right? So we learn empathy also. Empathy is basically trying to understand what the other person is going through, what emotions he is going through. And we learn everything about relationships, how to have a healthy and fulfilling relationship. So all these skills, a young person can learn these skills only when he has this opportunity to interact with other people. So I feel being socially isolated, it has become a big hurdle for young people to really develop their social skills. And it is somehow we don't feel complete without our friends, so it has a huge impact. So what happens is, when somebody is lonely like this, or when somebody is feeling sad, he definitely wants to get rid of that emotion. And if he does not know good coping skills, if he does not know healthy ways to adapt to those situations, what he may do is, he may try to replace those healthy social relationships with something like gaming, or he may try to replace that with online gaming, or he may replace that with some other activity online which he may regret later, right? So basically, this human need for connection, once this is not satisfied, it leads to so much frustration in us that we tend to give in some temptations, like overuse of social media or overuse of online gaming, especially for young people, right?
Yes, the
And
PUBG has been a really issue in this time. So
yes, yes. So yeah, I think to name a few, maybe PUBG, or what is that? World of something. It's a very popular game which a lot of young people talk about when I discuss with them about issues that they are facing. So basically, what happens is, these games, all these social media applications, be it Facebook, Twitter, or any of Instagram, or any of these social media apps, as well as these online games, they are designed in such a way that they go on giving you instant bursts of pleasure, right? For example, if you want to feel pleasure in a healthy way in a normal setting, then probably you have to go to your friend's home. You have to ask him that, can you come down to play cricket with me? And you have to go and find 10 other friends who will probably join you in playing cricket. And once you get batting and you hit that first boundary or a sixer, you will feel happy about yourself. So getting pleasure, there are so many things that you have to do to get pleasure, basically, if you want to achieve pleasure in a healthy way. Whereas if you are on a social media platform, or if you are on an online gaming platform, they just give you a surge of dopamine. Dopamine is the pleasure hormone, neurotransmitter in our brain. So there is something known as the reward pathway in our brain, or we feel pleasure because of that circuit in our brain. So these online gaming and online social media platforms, they go on giving you so much of dopamine surge that what happens is easily you get hooked to that platform, and also you start neglecting other things in your life because it doesn't seem as exciting as playing a PUBG game, for example. Making a video call with your friend and discussing about what is happening in your life, in his life or your life, it takes a lot of effort, okay, and time, right? So what happens is once you get hooked to these social media platforms, once you start overusing these social media platforms, you can easily neglect all the other important things in your life, right? You may lose some healthy relationships. You may have conflicts at home with your parents or with your siblings because you are unable to spend good time with them, good quality time with them, right? And ultimately, at the end of mindless scrolling of Facebook, or going on binge watching a TV series, or playing games for hours together, do you really feel good about yourself at the end of everything? I'm pretty sure many of us feel that we feel a void after doing all that, right? Doing it for entertainment, looking at Instagram for entertainment, or playing PUBG for a certain fixed duration of time for entertainment is a different thing. But what can happen is, because these platforms are so tempting and so addictive, basically, that you get used to playing these stuff or watching these stuff, and at the end of everything, you feel bad about yourself, or you feel frustrated at the end of everything. So why did you actually start doing those things, right? I think that is the basic question young people should ask themselves. Am I opening Facebook or am I opening Instagram mindlessly because I really don't have a purpose there, right? I just automatically, like a mind on autopilot, you just open and start scrolling some social media platform, or you are neglecting everything and you are only hooked to your gaming station, right? So basically what is happening is you mindlessly get into doing this stuff and you feel bad about yourself at the end of it. So what is it really worthwhile to spend your time like this? Precious time that youngsters have at this point of time, because time is money, and we are very lucky that we have a lot of time on our hands and we can do a lot of wonderful things at this point of time, and we cannot while away that time in just certain things which really don't make us feel good about ourselves. Yeah.
Sir, we have a question and linking with that with a question. So it's from Satun Azhar telling that what can he do to utilize his time more productively during this pandemic other than participating in online events and doing our hobbies. So you see, sir, that lots of us are getting into depression and facing stress and anxiety due to this
Correct.
COVID-19, sitting
Correct.
in home for
Yes.
whole day long.
Correct. Correct.
So what
So
will you say about this?
yeah. So first, let me answer your question, Ankon, and not your question, about your comment that you made, that many of us are feeling sad, many of us are feeling stressed and anxious, and we don't know what to do about these emotions, right? I think unless we address those emotions, unless we understand those emotions, doing something healthy or doing something productive becomes very difficult. What Sadman has asked, how to spend time productively, I think unless you are in a good state of mind, unless you are in a fairly relaxed state of mind, it is very difficult to engage in something meaningful or worthwhile. So first of all, we have to understand why are we getting so stressed, right? I think the first thing that I would like to tell you here is we are facing a real threat in the form of the coronavirus disease, right? And nobody can just be blind to that situation. It is quite real. The threat is quite real, right? So, and God has given us this system in our body, this stress response system, which is basically something like a survival response. See, I think the top thing on our mind right now during these times, during 2020, is basically I have to survive, right? That's the first thing that is there in all our minds, right? And if you have such a thing in in all our minds, definitely God has given this physiological system, this thing in our body which gets activated and which leads to a certain set of processes in our body which may feel like it's very stressful for us, right? If we don't really understand the system, we may mistake it to be some mental health problem that is very scary, or I am suffering from some mental illness, right? So first of all, I would like to tell all my young friends that it is okay to feel stressful during these times. It is quite natural to feel like that. It is quite universal. We are all in this. We are all feeling stressed out, right? So be very, aware of that. Be very kind to yourself, if you are feeling something like that. Okay. So what happens is the moment there is a thought in our head that there is a danger lurking around, our body gets activated. Our blood, our heart starts beating faster. Blood is pumped, at a rapid rate. Okay. And if we are more stressed, then we feel that our mouths are going dry, our body is trembling, or we are getting headaches and body aches, and we are unable to rest or feel calm, and we are unable to sleep. Maybe we have sleepless nights. Okay. So we can definitely manage this stress, okay, by taking some, by doing some coping mechanisms, right? So I would definitely want to tell you guys that, Sadman asked, what are the other things that we can do other than participating in online events, right? So one thing that I would say, which will help us is try to shift your focus from yourself to something else. Okay. Why don't you try to take care of something? For example, if you have a pet at home, try to take care of the pet. Or, you can grow a plant in your garden. If you are into gardening, you try to grow a plant. Or try to take care of someone who is in need. I'm pretty sure there may be so many people around you who really don't understand what they are, what precautions they have to take, or they may be, struggling so much that they cannot make their ends meet. They don't have food on their plate at the end of the day, right? So why don't you do something by which you can, contribute in that way? Take care of someone else. If you shift the focus from you to someone else, it can be, it can be really good for your mental health. It releases so many good hormones in your body, like endorphins, that at the end of the day, you feel so satisfied. Okay. No PUBG game or no, Facebook event can give you that, right? So we can all do small acts of kindness. Okay. See, why don't you guys take a class for a fifth standard school, standard students? Some, if you may have some government school where they don't have any access to teaching probably. So why don't you set up something by which you can take online classes for them, right? So basically, volunteering your time or doing small acts of kindness can go a long way in making you feel good about yourself. Other thing is, you can try to make something, try to make something new, right? Try to create something. For example, you may, create a painting, or you may create a sketch. You may write some music, or you may create your own song, or you may write poetry, right? Or you may start writing small articles, or write, a book, maybe a short book, right? So when you start creating something, right, you make something which is not there, right? Or even cooking or gardening. It can be anything basically. So when you do something like that, it definitely gives you a lot of feel good state, right? Which can help you to face the stress and anxiety that all of us are facing at this point of time. So I think that is something I would like to say to answer.
So we have a curious audience telling about a question there. Just what made you want to be a professor of psychiatry? Just curious. So here comes our about career we were coming. So
Yes.
please start by answering the question.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
made you curious?
I think there are a lot of stuff. Maybe one of the things that really inspired me was some literature that I read at a very young age. Literature written by psychotherapists. So I was very lucky to get my hands on some really good literature. Basically, that those were books which described about their psychotherapy encounters or their therapy encounters that they had in their clinics. So that was one thing, right? And definitely my own personal struggles that I have gone through in my life. So psychology is something which is exciting for all of us, right? We
Uh,
all want to learn more.
many of us have some stories behind us that encourage us to move on to our career or profession. Some stories
Correct.
remain. So,
Yes,
is there
yes, yes.
anything in your too?
I don't know. There is no particular story, I would say, but I think mind, brain and mind is something which has excited me from a very young age, because probably I have struggled to understand my own feelings. I have struggled to understand, why I have reacted in certain ways in certain situations, or some personal struggles that I have gone through. Definitely those have contributed my interest in psychiatry. I think I at a young age I found out that I am very good at people skills. So I am a very good listener, right? And somehow these skills, set of skills that my early exposure to the literature, my own personal struggles, which I have been making sense of and I have battled with, and definitely my ability to be a good listener. Okay, all this combination has inspired me to be to get into psychiatry. So coming back to the original question, so as I was telling, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling anxious, believe me, it is quite natural to feel like that, right? It is quite adaptive also, because we have to survive this crisis, right? So our body prepares us to be on the tip of our toes, always ready, right? We can't be lax, we can't let our guard down during this crisis. So feeling anxious is pretty normal, right? So just because you felt anxious, don't start telling yourself that somehow you are abnormal. That is absolutely wrong, right? Do share your emotions. If you are going through these emotions, help understand that the you is probably going through something which is very similar, and that can give you a lot of relief when you know that yes, there is someone else who is going through a similar situation. It just relaxes our mind like anything. So sharing your problems, especially the problems that all of us are facing at this point of time, can be a great help. Okay, so yeah. And other thing is, what you have to remember is, I already told you, when you are anxious or when you are sad, definitely you are not in the right state of mind to focus fully on your career or to focus fully on your studies, maybe, right? So your career path or your academic activities or whatever ambitions that you have in your life may feel quite difficult to focus on when you are anxious or sad. So that is why it is important that you recognize these emotions, try to understand that these emotions are quite okay. Share with someone if you feel that it is excessive. If you feel that, no doctor, I have tried everything, I talked with some friends and I still have a lot of issues, it is becoming difficult for me, then don't hesitate to take professional help. Psychiatry and psychological issues are a big, have a big stigma in India. I'm pretty sure it is the same state in Bangladesh. If you have a fracture in your hand, you would rush to the best orthopedician in Dhaka and try to get it fixed immediately, right? But if you are feeling sad or if you are feeling broken inside, then many people don't even open their mouth to their parents, let alone going and seeking professional help, because they feel that people will talk bad about them, people will call them weak, or they feel ashamed, they feel guilty
Yes,
about discussing this.
it's true that
Yeah,
many of us, when we many of us couldn't express our problems to our close ones due to the some
correct,
shyness or something like that. So I will
correct.
request the respected viewers that if you have any problem regarding any questions or need consultation, you can consult our guest sir through his Facebook page, and it's Mind and You. You can consult him through there. And we have another question from the same person that to give any advice you wish you have gotten when you were younger.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Ishmum. I think
Yes,
that's a
Ishmael.
wonderful question. Yeah, yeah. So I think if if I had the opportunity to go back in time and probably tell something to myself, I would just tell myself that it is going to be okay, right? Whatever hurdles you are facing in your life right now, it is all going to be okay, right? There is a famous saying, right? This too shall pass, right? Whatever difficulties and problems that you're facing in your life right now, it is all going to be okay. That is the first thing that I would tell myself. Okay. Another thing that I would tell myself is probably, you know, be more kind to yourself, be more compassionate to yourself, right? Many times, what happens is we become very harsh to ourselves when we face a problem, when we face a failure in our life. For example, many of our careers right now are, come to a halt or come to a standstill because of, exams are being postponed. We are unable to pursue higher studies because universities have stopped giving, basically giving their courses. So we sometimes may feel that, my God, what is happening with my life? I am, worthless, or I am unable to do anything in my life. But just let me tell you, be kind at this time to yourself, be very compassionate, believe that you will prevail. Okay. I think you may have looked at the commencement speech given by Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google, a few weeks ago. If you have not looked at it, I think you should look at it. It's a wonderful. He wonderfully explains how he went to the United States with a dream, and how he went all through the he went through the struggles at USA, and now he is the CEO of Google, right? So what he stresses on in that commencement speech is basically all of us will prevail, right? We all will, get over this crisis, or even something comes in future. Believe that it will pass. Okay, this too shall pass. So I think first of all, I would tell myself that it is going to be okay, and I am going to prevail. Okay, and I have to be kind to myself. I have to be compassionate to myself. So I think these lessons are very important even during this crisis, in our current situation also. So all my young people, I would like to emphasize these points again, right? So wonderful question, Ishmo. Yeah. Ankan?
Yes, I hope Sadia was telling something.
Uh, she was not audible.
So, sir, you have told us about depression or anxiety
Sadia, you were not.
due to COVID-19. So, is your
Right?
suggestion ourselves motivated?
Uh-huh. So it was not very clear. Ankan, did she ask that how to keep ourselves motivated during this time? Was it
Yes,
that?
I think so. Yes, sir. She.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah. So uh,
sir. How
I
to
think,
keep ourselves motivated? You know that we offer anxiety, anxiety or depression due to this situation.
yes, yes, yes. So basically, first of all, we have to cope with all these emotions in the right ways. Some of the ways that we already discussed, we have to cope with these emotions. Okay. And, how to keep ourselves motivated. I think what we have to do is, what has happened due to this pandemic and lockdown is, young people don't have a structure or a routine, basically. So, already life is too uncertain due to this crisis. We don't know when our exams are going to be. We don't know when our results are going to come. We don't know when we are going to move ahead in the career, right? So there are so many uncertainties. We don't know whether we will contract the disease, or somebody else, some near and dear one, will contract the disease, or if we contract the disease, what is going to happen with us? There are so many uncertainties already, right? So when life has become so unpredictable and uncertain, you will have to do certain things. You will have to take certain steps so that life becomes a little predictable. Okay, life becomes a little understandable. So how you can do that is, first of all, set some very small goals for yourself right from today, or at least tomorrow. Okay, so start setting very small goals. See, goals, you have heard about this commonly quoted, that goals have to be smart. Okay, what do you mean by smart? Basically, it's an acronym for specific. Goals have to be specific. That goals have to be measurable. They have to be achievable. They have to be realistic. Also, they have to be timely and tangible. Okay, so let me try to explain. For example, if you have a goal that if you set your goal as I should be good in public speaking. Okay, so that is your end goal, that you have to become a good public speaker. See, just having a goal like that, it is too vague. Because you don't know, when you get up in the morning, you don't know what you have to do to become a public speaker, right? So that's why, if your end goal is to become a good public speaker at the end of 6 months, then you will have to break it down into small goals, and those small goals should be very specific. So what can you do to be very specific? You have to tell yourself that, okay, let me buy a book by this author who is a good public speaker. Let me buy a book from that author and try to read 2 pages every day. 2 pages would take hardly 10 to 15 minutes of your time, right? So you cannot become a good public speaker in 2 days. It's not possible. So it is going to take 6 months of your time, probably, or a year of your time. So, but having this small goal of just reading 2 chapters from an author, it makes much more sense, because it is very specific, correct? And it is measurable. You have very certain parameters that, okay, I just have to finish reading these 2 chapters, and it would probably take 10 to 15 minutes of my time. So you can plan easily, because these are measurable entities. You can plan for it. Also, reading 2 pages per day or devoting 10 minutes of your time per day is definitely achievable, correct? And also, is it realistic? Yes, it is realistic. Definitely, being a good public speaker can give you a lot of edge over others, who are competing with you for probably admission into a college, or getting into a specific course, or if you're trying to get into a specific job. So it is realistic, correct? Thinking that I will read 2 pages per day is definitely realistic. And also, it has to be timely and tangible, right? So you have to make a plan that, okay, this book by this author who is a very good public speaker and who gives wonderful tips to become a good public speaker, can I finish this book at the end of 15 days by reading 2 pages per day? Or if it is not possible by these 15 days, make it maybe a month, right? So if you can have small goals like that, life is not that overwhelming for you, right? If you just sit up in the morning and you don't have any goal at all, and already there is so much uncertainty in everything around you, you would feel very bad about yourself. But having a specific goal, having a specific ambition, right, having smart goals can make life easier for you, right? And let me tell you, Sadia, see, what keeps us motivated? We all think that watching a YouTube video by a motivational speaker will keep us motivated, or watching our role model every day, he's putting his picture in front of our study table will make us motivated, or putting some inspiring quotes every day on my wallpaper, or sticking some quotes on my walls will make us motivated. Yes, these give you motivation. All these things that I told you will definitely give you motivation, but they cannot sustain you, right? These gives you just sparks of motivation. what can actually sustain you is, you have, an image of yourself in your mind. Say that is the ideal self that you have in your mind, that I, Ravi, has to be a public speaker. I have to be a very good public speaker. That is the ideal self that I have imagined for myself, right? And there is a real self. The real self is Ravichandra is not a very good public speaker at this point of time. I shake when I go on stage, or when I am in between a group of people, my voice trembles, my mouth goes dry. I feel very tensed. My heart starts beating faster. That is the real self. So there is one real self, real Ravichandra, and there is the ideal Ravichandra in head, okay, in our mind. So if there is a huge gap between that ideal Ravi and the real Ravi, you would definitely feel demotivated every day. Nothing can pump you up, okay? One quotation from internet or one motivational lecture cannot really keep you moving. So what can keep you moving is you understand that, yes, this is the ideal self that I imagine for myself, and this is my reality today, right? So if I have to move from the real self to the ideal self, what steps I have to take? So that is where your small goals, small everyday goals will come into picture, right? And just this thought of becoming a good public speaker can be overwhelming for someone who is not a good public speaker. If I just tell someone who is afraid to go on stage, just go and give a good speech, that will be overwhelming. That makes some person very anxious. But if I tell him, right, you have got 6 months, buddy, try to read 2 pages of this book, start with that, okay, and then probably add on other things. It is not that overwhelming at that point of time, right? It can definitely, and once you read, once you achieve that small goal, that itself, that sense of accomplishment or that sense of mastery itself will push you, will motivate you to do more in your life. So I would strongly tell to young people, you have to set certain goals, right? See, if you have a dream, and you don't have a set of smart goals to achieve that dream, then it is just fantasy. You are just imagining you will become the next big entrepreneur, or you will become the next big scientist, but it is just imagination in your head, right? So you really want to reach your ambitions, then you will have to put in a certain amount of time. That can be very small amount of time, and still that can be very effective, and it can lead to a very productive day for yourself. So I would urge my friends to do something like this. And also, at the same point, you have to remember that try to be a better version of yourself every day. You have to be your benchmark. Your real self has to be your benchmark, right? For example, you are a person who probably is scoring 80% in his physics paper. Then that is your benchmark. That is your benchmark. Don't look at your friend. Don't compare yourself with a friend and say that, okay, my God, he is scoring 95%, I have to reach 95%. No, it is not a race with him. It is a race with yourself. So can you tell yourself, I am at 80% today, can I make it to 85% in the coming exam? That is how you probably deal with all the difficulties that you reach in your life, or hurdles that you face in your life. And also, to keep yourself motivated, I strongly feel that you have to monitor your self-talk. You all have noticed that there is a voice in our head. We all keep conversing with ourselves, correct? When we are faced with a certain situation, for example, Ankon asks me, sir, can you come on live interaction on this day? The first thing that may come to my mind is, my God, can I give this webinar? There will be an international audience. There will be so many young people. Can I really do this? Right? So I may get a thought like that. So if I don't monitor that thought, I may become anxious, and I may tell Ankon that, no, Ankon, I will not be able to do this. It's probably not my stuff, right? I cannot probably do justice to this, right? Because I have not observed this thought in my head that I am not good at it. or I am stupid. I'll make a fool out of myself by sitting in front of these
Yes,
young people and talking.
yes, I think that this question by our audience is going with your topic, that it is not an
Yes.
actually weird question. It is a normal question, but we get shy to express it. So really, thank you, Hussein Adrita, for asking this question. That how to increase our love for life.
How to
She
increase
also
our love of our life.
next comment that, and what can be done to control the mind's inconvenience.
Okay,
Same
okay.
question.
Yeah, I think how we can really love our life is, start looking at the tiny things in your life, the little things in your life, because I am pretty sure, be it the beggar on the roads or whoever it is, whatever may be a person's difficulties, right? He would definitely have some little joys in his life, right? See, look out of your window. There is a beautiful scenery out of that you can see out from your window. There are some birds which are chirping, okay, and you can see the beautiful sunshine, right? If the sun is setting in Bangladesh, I don't know what time is it there. So the beautiful sunshine that you can see. So once you start focusing on the little joys in your life, and try to take your mind off the big things that you are probably pursuing, or you are probably racing to get it, right? Then life appears much more beautiful. Okay. uh, and definitely what you have to do is, we have to develop the attitude of gratitude, right? We have to be grateful for what we have in our life, especially during this time. I think it's extremely important that look at all the small things in your life. Like, I think people who are sitting at home, probably this is the longest vacation that we have got. This is an opportunity to connect with your
It's
family
the
members for
longest
a
one, I guess. And now
yeah,
people don't
yeah.
want to have really this type of vacations, the longest this types.
Yeah.
They're really fed up of it. So we have a question some time ago that you said
Yes,
your top.
We have a comment from Sadman.
yes.
Yes,
So
sir.
we have
This might
another
seem,
comment from Sadman
yes, yes. I will
that
have a look
says,
at it.
"Sir, I might seem awkward, I but I play PUBG regularly to have a chat with my friends. As a
Right,
result,
right.
my mind stays fresh, but I am also aware that excess games are also responsible for some negative health issues. What do you want to say in this regard?"
Yes, absolutely, Sadman. I think you
It
have
is
brought
from
a
Sadman.
wonderful, yeah, Sadman. It's a wonderful point that you have raised, right? This just shows, see, why are you playing PUBG? Because you want to feel connected with your friends, right? So, as I told you already, this need to get connected with other people, it is so innate in us. It's so inherent in us that we all crave for social connectedness. We all want, approval from others. Many times what happens is, Sadman, I'm not saying this is your case, but many of us, if we are ineffective in real life, for example, if you are not that great, probably having a conversation with your friends in real life, or making friends in real life, you may feel it is far easy to get on PUBG and make a set of friends. But are they real friends, that probably you are connecting with through PUBG, right? So, and you are risking yourself to get addicted to these games are designed in such a way that no one can say that I will just play PUBG for 15 minutes from 8:15 to 8:30 every day, right? So they are designed in such a way that it ultimately you end up playing a lot more than what you intended to, correct? So why don't you look at other strategies to connect with your friends? Why don't you make a Zoom meet where you can, four of your friends get together and talk with each other? Or if it is possible in your country, why don't you go in a open park, sit with physical distance and talk with each other in real life, right? So I understand that PUBG also gives you this opportunity to connect with people all over the world, and it seems exciting. It's really exciting to sit with people from Bangladesh and sit with so many of you today. It is really exciting. So I'm pretty sure this is one of the things which is driving a lot of people to feel connected with a set of people. But you have to remember 2 3 things. If you are someone who is socially ineffective, because you cannot make friends in real life, or you cannot be very effective, or you don't find that you get approval from others outside, and that's why you are getting into PUBG, then that is a real risk for you, because you will have social deficits which you will have to continue with, and it can be a problem,
Sir,
right?
Sadman is mentioning that he plays with his real friends.
Yeah, Sadman, please don't get offended. I am not talking about you basically here. So yes, I understand, right? But Sadman, I'm pretty sure you will not be able to restrict yourself to playing for a very short duration, and that is a risk, I feel, because it is just sitting in a place playing a game is itself so unhealthy for you. Sitting at one place is as bad for your health as smoking cigarettes. Take it from me, sedentary lifestyle is very very bad for you. It can lead to obesity, it can lead to increased risk of diabetes, increased cardiovascular problems, all sort of problems in adult life, right? So all of you young people should probably go out and play physically. I know it is difficult during this COVID crisis, I understand that, but I think there will be certain other ways by which you can connect with all your friends. And I'm pretty sure, Sadman, you are connecting with a lot of your friends probably during this Zoom meet also. And you may do such other stuff which probably makes you feel that you are chatting with your friends or you are interacting with your friends. And that is going to help you a lot. Hope I have
So
answered your question.
we have a question from Mahmoud Jan Muktu saying that among the young boys and girls, drug issues and suicidal attempts due to relationship problems and family issues are seen. What are the problem solutions you can provide in this case? And it is to be also mentioned this in this COVID-19 period, a lot of virtual relationships are growing up, as most of them are giving much time on social media. So, what
Correct.
actual stigmas associated with this COVID-19?
Yeah. So
And
I think,
to mention that what would you suggest them to take care of their mental health and to avoid this type of problems from their daily life and move on forward fluently?
Right. Muhammad Uzaman, I think it's a good question that you have asked. Definitely, because young people cannot make sense of their emotions that they are going through, and they are unable to cope with the difficult emotions such as sadness and anxiety. So drugs become an escape for them. Drugs are basically an escape from reality. When your life hurts, when reality sucks, then definitely you would want to get away from reality, and drugs are basically an escape from reality. And the moment you are out of the intoxication from that drug, your real life comes to your picture, and you cannot escape from it all the time, right? So I'm pretty sure, if we are unable to handle our emotions through some good coping skills, one can probably take up very simple stuff such as exercising every day, right? Exercising for half an hour to 45 minutes every day can keep your mind fit, okay, and your body also fit, right? Doing a simple meditation, like a breathing meditation, where you are just focusing on your breathing, like how the air goes in when you're inhaling and how the air goes out of your body while exhaling. So just focusing on your breathing, just deep breathing is something like a cheat code. PUBG fans will appreciate all these things. So it's like a cheat code that you use in video games. So you just do some slow breathing, and you will fool your body to think that you are relaxed, man, nothing is going to happen, it's all okay, right? So whenever you remember, try to take some deep breath, okay? It may look very simple and silly, but try practicing it every day for a month. You will notice a huge difference in yourself. You can also try something known as mindfulness meditation, okay? Mindfulness meditation is basically where you try to become aware of your breathing, aware of your bodily sensations, aware of your thoughts and emotions in a very non-judgmental fashion. Don't react too much to whatever is going on in your mind. Don't respond to them, but be watchful and be aware of them, and be very kind to yourself when you're doing all these things. This is in one sentence about mindfulness meditation. So you can sit using some guided meditations which are easily available on the internet. You can meditate for 15-20 minutes every day and your life may transform. Okay. And when you are able to cope with such strategies, healthy strategies, you would not require drugs to, escape from your life, basically, right? And also, you have to remember, as I told already, all this is going to be okay. This is going to pass. This too shall pass, right? When you are faced with a difficulty like this as a young person, sometimes you feel as if your life is over or there is nothing else you can do. You feel helpless. So let me just remind you, right? These are just hurdles in everybody's life, and we will prevail. We will be successful. We will overcome this crisis. So once you have these thoughts, I think you wouldn't be very impulsive and do something foolish. Try to find a permanent solution for a temporary problem, right? Like a suicide, right? So, and definitely suicide can also be due to other mental health disorders such as depression and anxiety disorders. If you feel that you are going through something like that, and you can definitely look up information on the internet about these disorders. If you feel so, approach a mental health professional. Please, I would request you that don't keep it to yourself. Don't suffer alone, right? Please share with someone, and that can definitely equip you to fight sadness and anxiety or depression and anxiety disorders, and not get hooked to drug addictions or not get hooked to online gaming, or maybe think of ending your life, right? So keep these in mind. And also I would strongly suggest all of you that you have to think every day that what am I doing today to take care of my mental health? Because somehow in the busy day, in the busy life of ours, we have so many ambitions, we have so many things to do. Sometimes we forget to ask ourselves, what have I done today to keep my mind healthy? I think all of us should think about this. Many of us definitely think about physical health. We think whether we have exercised today, whether we have taken good diet, whether I have slept well today, whether I have, whether I have drunk enough water today. But we don't think about whether I have done something today to keep my mind in the right state, right? So we all have to ask ourselves every day these questions, so that we are in a healthy state of mind, and it equips us to do a lot of things, lot of wonderful things in our life. I'm pretty sure all the young people who are watching today, you have wonderful futures ahead, and I'm pretty sure you're destined to do a lot of wonderful things, right? And you will have to believe in it, and you will have to believe that this is just a temporary pause that is happening in our life right now, but it is a good thing. Think of the bright side of everything. So it has given us an opportunity to do a lot of new things, a lot of wonderful things, connect with a lot of wonderful people. So probably these lessons, these hard lessons that we are learning today, will come a long way in leading a meaningful and purposeful life. That's what I would want to.
We are having a long session with you today, and we are almost to the end. So we will be taking last two questions. So I will request the audience. So if anyone has any questions, we'll take it by importance. Please give. And the one we have now is showing you. So it is from Caesar's Oni. Sir, in this corona time, we are thinking that we are feeling poor. We don't have anything to do, so many things. What is your opinion? What should we do to meet the demand of our mind satisfaction? Sir, we came to know that you, sorry,
Yes.
we came to know that you are very interested in photography, and I follow you, and I saw a lot of your pictures. So
Yeah.
photography can be also a part here. So how will you answer this
Yeah.
question?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
for mind satisfaction things.
Coming to photography, I am not really an ambassador for photography here. I wouldn't insist everyone to start doing photography. But I think the advantage with photography is, I'll tell you, you start noticing very small things. When you become a photographer, when you get interested in photography, even that small piece of wood which is lying in your home, useless, it will start appearing as a beautiful photo subject. Okay. So tiny and trivial things. That's why I told you it's very important that we start focusing on small things in our life, right? So photography gives that opportunity to look at things in a very different way. Nobody would have imagined of a certain angle, when I'm taking a picture, or when I try to focus in my camera on a certain thing, I lose focus of everything else. My mind just is focused on one thing, and that is like meditating for me, right? And I'm pretty sure every activity can be like that. For example, if you are into sketching, all those strokes that with your pencil that you're doing, the small strokes that you do to probably make an eye of your subject, that can be like meditation for you, because you're totally focused on those pencil strokes at that time, right? And the question that was asked last, what can I do to really keep my mind busy, right? I am pretty sure there are so many wonderful things that you can take up. There are a whole host of hobbies that you can take up right now. I'm pretty sure that it is so easy also these days. Like, for example, if you want to learn an instrument, you just put it on YouTube and somebody will teach you how to play a guitar, right? I think this is something, in our times, we had to go to a guitar teacher to probably learn a guitar, right? Whereas now you can just stream, you can probably connect with a friend on Facebook who loves guitar and learn from him, right? So you can definitely use social media or Zoom meetings or all these online platforms to do, to understand a lot of wonderful things. But I would also suggest that don't restrict your activities to only online platforms, because as I told you already, you need social connectedness, you need a human connection. So people at your in your family, can you sit down and play a board game every day, or play some cards, okay, or play some something which you can do it as a family together, or always remember to eat dinner when you have all the family members together. So doing small things can definitely give you a lot of pleasure, right? So focus on small things, focus on the blessings that you have in your life, okay? Be grateful for them, right? These things, I think, can definitely give you pleasure. And also, one more thing I would like to tell you, happiness ultimately is something which is inside you, right? You cannot go on searching happiness on the internet or in another person also. Somebody asked, like, many people have a breakup and have a difficult relationship and they are ending their lives, what to do about it? See, ultimately, if you are not happy inside with yourself and you want to complete yourself, or you are in search of happiness in somebody else, you may get disappointed at the end of the day, right? So don't be in search of happiness, okay? A famous poet, Rumi, you may have heard about Rumi. So he has beautifully said, there is a spring of joy inside you, okay? And don't go around that with an empty bucket in your hand, right? So we all have resources, we all have ways by which we can get in touch with the amazing self that we have, the joyous, the wonderful side of our lives, right? So we have to get into touch with that. Somebody may find it in prayers, somebody may find it in books, somebody may find it in playing football, somebody may find it in writing, somebody may find it in poetry. You have to think about what fits you, right? So there is no one size fits all here, right? You will have to find your own ways by which you can find joy in life. Hope I have answered your question.
So we have taken our last comment for today's session. So it is from Andrew Panikar. Sir, I have a postgraduate in psychiatry myself. I have an issue that I commonly face. I am a religious Christian and a devout one at that. But I often face difficulties to try and look at the different circumstances of life in a psychiatric point of view or in a religious point of view. What's your take on that, sir?
Right.
I hope
So Andrew is my student actually. He's my, I'm his teacher.
It's great to
So
have a
thank you,
friend.
Andrew. It's a really difficult question. Okay. I think what I seriously feel is, when it comes to dealing with your patients, definitely keep their religion and their culture in mind, right? because otherwise you will be a very insensitive psychiatrist, you will be an insensitive counselor, or even if you are talking with a friend of yours, you will be an insensitive friend if you don't keep their religion and their cultural views in mind. Okay, but when it comes to anything that you have come across, any difficult situation, or any patient that you have come across, or any problems that your friend may talk with you, right, it will have some elements which are definitely separate from religious as well as cultural views, and those elements are something which is common in every human being. That is what makes us human. That is the most exciting thing about psychiatry and psychology, because you get to know that we are all the same, right? We are all going through the same problems, right? Nobody is different. Nobody can say that I don't have these issues. So when you keep aside those religious and cultural views, there will be certain common elements, which is basically what makes us human. And I'm pretty sure, Andrew, you have that human experience with you, by which you can connect with that individual and take care of his problems, right? No matter which religion you come from, no matter which culture background you come from, you can still connect with that human being, on a human level, basically, and give him solace and give him counsel. Okay, thank you for that wonderful question.
One
Really
last
difficult
question that I wanna express. It's a common issue in this time that many times we see a lot of our friends do a lot of stupid acts in serious moments, which are not always funny. So how do you suggest us to handle the situation without making them sad? And you say in this COVID-19 period, all of us on social media, it is more commonly happening. And in the social platform, when we do something stupid, it really goes viral over whole social platform, and the public gets to know it. So it's really an issue now. How would you suggest that?
Yeah, see, I think social media is a wonderful technology by which we can connect to people all world over. Okay, but I think it comes with its own risks. So I would suggest, before you post anything on Facebook or Instagram or whatever social media, ask yourself 2-3 questions. Okay, and this is also important because I see a lot of misinformation and rumors and fake stuff being circulated about COVID-19 pandemic also, right? So you have to ask yourself, whatever you are looking at, whether it is really true. Okay, if you are sharing something or if you are posting something, okay, whether it is really true, or what is your source, basically what is your source by which you are getting this information, or you are getting this fact, whether this is really fact, where is the source from. Okay, and you have to ask yourself, do I need to share this? Basically, why am I sharing this? Is there a need for me to share this? Does it make anybody feel a little better, or is it useful to someone? Me sharing this, is it useful to someone, basically? And the third thing is, you have to ask yourself, no matter what you are sharing, is it kind to others? So if you are talking about someone else on social media, are you being kind about that person, right? Even if you're talking about a heinous criminal on social media, I would say still ask yourself this question: is it really kind to make a comment like this? Recently I saw a celebrity ended his life by suicide in India, and all people were shouting and yelling at the top of their voice about Bollywood, and some of the people in Bollywood, they were using such bad words to probably make their claim. I think it is just too much to take. Ultimately, we have to be kind during these times. Everybody is going through a lot at this time. So ask yourself, am I being kind when I'm doing something like this? That's extremely important. I think that will sort out most of the problems. But the question was, what if somebody has already done a foolish mistake? What should I do? Right? I think what you have to do is, you cannot be blind to that issue. You have to tell him openly that this is wrong. Okay, you cannot make it very sweet and just tell a lie that it's okay. You have to tell him, that person, that you have done a foolish mistake and it is wrong, being kind at the same time to him also, and probably look at why he did something like that and try to understand that, right? and probably that will help him to avoid such situations in the future. Yeah, Ankan.
So it's really a great session having you with us. Lastly, what do you want to suggest for us, or what do you think about us, your talent?
Yes, yes. So I think youth talents. I am yet to meet a lot of the brilliant minds behind youth talent. I am grateful that I am able to connect with Onkon and Sadia today. I am pretty sure I will get in touch with a lot of people from youth talents from Bangladesh. So I think
Yes.
what I strongly believe is when young people at such a young age, when a bunch of people get together to do something for others, when they think that we can contribute to the society, we can work for a cause, it's a very selfless thing that you guys have started. And when such young people come together for a selfless cause, miracles can happen. Okay, so I'm pretty sure youth talents has a bright future. It's a young organization, I heard from Ankon, and I'm pretty sure you are doing wonderful things by connecting resource persons from world over with lot of people at Bangladesh as well as in India. So I wish you all the best. I am very happy to be associated with you. I'm pretty sure I will be talking with you guys at various levels, and uh,
Thank
definitely
you,
whatever
sir.
you have started with, whatever goal you have started with, it's a amazing idea, right? And all the best to you guys.
Thank you, sir. That was really great to hear from you, and we hope that our audience will be also be benefited by the suggestions you gave today. And we had a lot of time together. Now I would conclude this session here, and hope that we will meet again in some other sessions with a new person, and we'll be coming. We'll be doing this live continuously to help our youth generation out there for their better and trying to motivate them. So we ex- we want everyone's support from uh,
Yes.
various parts of the world, and thank you for your well-being. I will end the session here. Thank you, everyone.
Yes. Namaskar.